For this video, we're gonna be discussing the indefinite integral. So we will turn our attention to reversing the operation of differentiation. And the process is called antidifferentiation. An antiderivative of a function f of x with a small letter is a function f of x with a capital letter, such that if we are going to find the derivative of the antiderivative of a function, we're going back to our original function. Let's consider the function f of x is equal to 3x squared. So what will be the antiderivative of this function? This is going to be x cubed. Because if we're going to apply the power rule dito, makukuha natin yung 3x squared. Let's consider the following. We have the derivative of the quantity x cubed plus 1, the derivative of x cubed minus 4, and the derivative of x cubed minus 100. So dito sa ating una, pag kinuha natin yung derivative niya, i-apply natin yung power rule sa first term and yung constant rule sa ating second term. So magiging derivative na lang nito ay 3x squared. Because 1 is a constant, so magiging 0 siya. Sa ikalawa, we have x cubed minus 4. So same lang yung derivative na makukuha natin because negative 4 is a constant. Then in the third example, we have x cubed minus 100. The derivative is also 3x squared because negative 100 is a constant. So kung gagawin nating function itong tatlo as 1, we have f of x is equal to 3x squared. Now we're going to find the antiderivative of 3x squared, and that is x cubed. So hindi na natin maibabalik kung ano yung constant na kailangan natin dito sa tatlo. That's why in the final answer in indefinite integral, we put c or plus c sa dulo ng ating final answer, where c is any constant. So mahalaga ang plus c sa dulo ng answer natin when we are talking about indefinite integral. Let f of x be an antiderivative of f of x, then f of x plus c is called the indefinite integral of f of x, denoted by this symbol. So this is the antiderivative of the function f of x. That is, the antiderivative of the function f of x is equal to f of x plus c. So pag-usapan natin yung bawat part ng ating antiderivative. The process of evaluating the antiderivative of the function f of x, that is, if we're going to solve this, ito yung answer natin. The process is called integration. Yung c naman, that is the arbitrary constant, and that is called constant of integration. The next one, the symbol this is just an elongated s, meaning sum. And the last part is yung dx. Dx refers to the fact that the function f of x is to be antidifferentiated or integrated with respect to the variable x. So in the derivative, the symbol for that is d over dx. In integral or antiderivative, dx yung ginagamit natin. So we have this. So the antiderivative of the function f of x is equal to f of x plus c. Or in contrary, we have the derivative of the function f of x plus c is equal to the original function. Just like in derivatives, so may iba't ibang rules din tayo na sinusundan in indefinite integral. Let's have our number 1, the power rule. So in antiderivative, if n is an any number other than negative 1, then we have the antiderivative of x raised to n is equal to x raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1 plus c. So we add 1 sa ating exponent and we divide the term kung ano yung exponent na nandito. So if this is n plus 1, we have also n plus 1 in the denominator. And don't forget plus c. Let's have our examples. Letter A. So what is the antiderivative of this function? So this is technically 1. Or we have x raised to 0 because x raised to 0 is equal to 1. So they are the same. And if we're going to apply the power rule here, we just need to add 1 to our exponent. We have 0 plus 1 over 0 plus 1 plus c. Then simplify, 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Then 1 din yung ating denominator. That's why our answer is x plus c. For our letter B, find the antiderivative of x raised to 5. So same process. We're going to add 1 to the exponent. So 5 plus 1 over 5 plus 1 plus c. So our answer will be x raised to 6 over 6 plus c. For our next example, find the antiderivative of x raised to 10. So same process lang yung gagawin natin. Mag-add tayo ng 1 sa ating exponent. We have x raised to 10 plus 1 over 10 plus 1 plus c. And our answer will be x raised to 11 over 11 plus c. And this is how the power rule works in indefinite integral. Let's have our second rule, the constant multiple rule. Dito makikita lang natin na magkakaroon tayo ng coefficient or constant. This is the constant, yung c. So iba yung constant na small c tsaka yung plus c sa final answer. So magkaiba sila. Dito ilalabas lang natin yung constant out of the integration symbol. We have c times the antiderivative of the function f of x, where c is any constant. Now let's have our examples. For letter A, find the antiderivative of 2x. So labas lang natin yung 2. Ito yung c natin dun sa ating integration symbol. So we have 2 times the antiderivative of x. So dito sa part na to, gamitin lang natin yung rule number 1 natin or yung power rule. So mag-add lang tayo sa ating exponent ng 1. So ito yung 2 natin. Then x raised to 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1. Then don't forget the plus c. Then simplify lang natin itong nasa loob ng ating parenthesis. We're going to have 2 times x squared over 2 plus c. And in this part, simplify lang natin. Pwede nating makancel yung 2 sa labas ng parenthesis tsaka yung 2 sa denominator natin. And our answer will be x squared plus c. For our example letter B, find the antiderivative of 4x raised to 7. So labas lang din natin yung 4 out of the integration symbol. Yan, we have 4 times the antiderivative of x raised to 7. So integrate natin itong part na to. So we have 4 times x raised to 7 plus 1 over 7 plus 1 plus c. We have 4 times x raised to 8 over 8 plus c. And dito pwede nating masimplify yung 4 and 8. So pag sinimplify natin, yung 4 magiging 1 na lang, yung 8 magiging 2. That's why our final answer will be x raised to 8 over 2 plus c. And this is our constant multiple rule. Let's have our third rule. That is the sum or difference rule. So dito, magkakaroon lang tayo ng dalawang functions. We have f of x and g of x. So plus or minus. And distribute lang natin yung ating anti-differentiation symbol. Yung elongated s and yung dx. So we're going to have the antiderivative of f of x plus or minus the antiderivative of g of x. So let's have example. Letter A. Find the antiderivative of 2x squared plus 3x minus 4. So dito integrate lang natin yung bawat term na nasa loob ng parenthesis. So for the first term, we have 2 times the antiderivative of x squared. Sa second term, we have 3 times the antiderivative of x. Then dito sa ating third term, we have 4 times the antiderivative of 1. Then apply lang natin yung power rule natin in each term. For the first term, we're going to have 2 times x raised to 2 plus 1 over 2 plus 1. For the second term, we have 3 times x raised to 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1. And for the third term, we have minus 4 times x raised to 0 plus 1 over 0 plus 1 plus c. So, wag natin kakalimutan yung plus c. Then, simplify natin each term. Dito sa first term, we're going to have 3x cubed over 3. So, 2 plus 1 is 3. So, sa exponent tsaka sa denominator. For the second term, we have 3x squared over 2. For the third term, we have 4x. Because 0 plus 1 is 1. Then sa denominator ay 1 din kaya hindi na isasulat. And plus c. And this is our final answer. For our example letter B, let's find the antiderivative of x raised to 1/2 plus x raised to negative 2 plus 2 pi. So, distribute lang din natin yung ating anti-differentiation symbol. So, yung elongated s tsaka yung dx in each term. For the first term, we're going to have the antiderivative of x raised to 1/2. For the second term, we have the antiderivative of x raised to negative 2. And for the third term, we have 2 pi times the antiderivative of 1 because 2 and pi are both constant. So, labas natin sila dun sa integration symbol natin. Dun sa first term, so gamitan lang din natin siya ng power rule. So, we have 1/2 plus 1 sa exponent and in the denominator, we have 1/2 plus 1 also. For the second term, we have x raised to negative 2 plus 1 over negative 2 plus 1. For our third term, we have 2 pi times x raised to 0 plus 1 over 0 plus 1. And don't forget plus c. Simplify natin each term. For the first term, 1/2 plus 1 is 3/2. So x raised to 3/2 over 3/2. Plus, negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So magkakaroon tayo ng minus dito because in the denominator, we have negative 1. So this is minus. Tapos ito, x raised to negative 1. Dito naman, yung x raised to 0 plus 1 is just x. Kasi yung sa denominator natin, magiging 1 lang din siya. So, x na lang ito. That's why we have 2 pi x plus c. Then, simplify lang din natin. Dito sa first term, let's get the reciprocal of our denominator and multiply natin sa numerator para mawala yung complex fraction natin. So, pag ginawa natin, ang reciprocal nito, yung 2 mapupunta sa x, yung 3 nasa denominator. So, we have 2x raised to 3/2 over 3. Tapos ito, since negative exponent and nasa numerator siya, gawin natin siyang denominator para mawala yung negative 1 na exponent. So, we have 1 over x. Then, this is 2 pi x plus c. And this is our final answer in letter B. For our letter C example, find the antiderivative of the square root of x plus cube root of x. So, paano natin isosolve ang ganitong klaseng problem? So, the first thing that we need to do is i-convert muna natin sila sa exponential. So, gawin nating exponent yung kanilang radical. So, we can write this example in this form. The antiderivative of x raised to 1/2, yung 1/2 that is the radical or the square root, plus x raised to 1/3. 1/3 is the cube root. Then from here, we can use our power rule para ma-solve ang ating problem. So if we're going to apply our power rule, dito sa first term, magkakaroon tayo ng x raised to 1/2 plus 1 over 1/2 plus 1. For the second term, we have x raised to 1/3 plus 1 over 1/3 plus 1 plus c. Then simplify lang natin. 1/2 plus 1 is 3/2. That's why we have x raised to 3/2 over 3/2. For our second term, 1/3 plus 1 is equal to 4/3. That's why we have x raised to 4/3 over 4/3 plus c. And since we have complex fractions, kunin lang natin yung reciprocal ng ating denominators, yung 3/2 tsaka 4/3, then i-multiply natin sila sa kanilang numerator. For the first term, the answer is 2x raised to 3/2 over 3. For the second term, we have 3x raised to 4/3 over 4 plus c. And this is our final answer in example letter C. The fourth rule is the general power rule. If u is equal to the function f of x and du is equal to the derivative of the function f of x exists, then we have the antiderivative of the function f of x raised to n times the derivative of our function is equal to the function raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1 plus c, where n should not be equal to -1 because we're going to have 0 in the denominator. Or using differentials, we get the antiderivative of u raised to n is equal to u raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1 plus c, where n should not be equal to -1. Now, let's have our example. So, evaluate the following. Letter A. Find the antiderivative of the square root of the quantity 4x minus 3. So, how are we going to solve this? So, the first thing that we need to do is to convert this into exponential. So, yung square root natin, gagawin nating exponent. So, this is also equivalent to the antiderivative of the quantity 4x minus 3 raised to 1/2. So, dito ang una natin gagawin, maglelet lang tayo ng value. So, ang u natin yung nasa loob ng parenthesis. So, this is our f of x. So, u is equal to 4x minus 3. Then, after this, kunin natin yung du. So, ang du natin is the derivative of the function. Then, we put dx. So, the derivative of our function is 4. Then, we put dx. Then, let's find the value of dx. So, ang dx natin, para makuha natin ang value niya, divide natin both sides by 4. So, mawawala yung 4 dito, mapupunta dun sa ilalim ng du natin. So, dx is equal to du over 4 or 1/4 du. Then, pag nakuha na natin itong tatlo, substitute natin. We will have the antiderivative of u, ito yung function natin, raised to 1/2, times kung ano yung nakuha natin na value ng dx, which is 1/4 du. So, dito labas lang natin yung 1/4 out of our integration symbol. Then, dun sa u raised to 1/2, gamitan lang natin siya ng power rule. Mag-add lang tayo ng 1 sa exponent. Then, kung ano yung nasa exponent, lagay natin sa denominator. So, we have u raised to 1/2 plus 1 over 1/2 plus 1 plus c. Then, simplify. 1/2 plus 1 is 3/2. So, we have 1/4 times u raised to 3/2 over 3/2 plus c. Then, dito, simplify lang muna natin yung nasa loob ng parenthesis. Kunin natin yung reciprocal ng ating denominator and multiply natin sa numerator. So, magkakaroon tayo ng 1/4 times 2u raised to 3/2 over 3 plus c. Then, simplify lang natin. Yung 2 tsaka yung 4 pwede nating makancel. Yung 2 magiging 1, yung 4 magiging 2. So, 2 times 3 is 6. So, we have u raised to 3/2 over 6 na lang plus c. Then, after natin makuha itong simplified form, ibalik natin yung value ng u, which is 4x minus 3. So, our final answer is the quantity 4x minus 3 raised to 3/2 over 6 plus c. For our next example, find the antiderivative of the quantity 5 minus x squared raised to 4 x dx. So, maglet lang din tayo ng values. U is equal to 5 minus x squared. So, ito yung u natin nasa loob ng parenthesis. Then, ang du natin will be negative 2x. So, ito yun. Pag kinuha natin yung derivative nito, that's negative 2x. Yung 5 mawawala kasi siya ay constant. Then, we put x dx kasi kung ano yung nandito, lalagay natin dito. So for the substitution, magiging mabilis na. So kunin natin yung value ng x dx. So x dx will be negative du over 2. So di-divide natin both sides by negative 2 para mawala yung negative 2 sa x dx. Then mapupunta siya sa ilalim ng du natin. That's why we have negative du over 2 or simply negative 1/2 du. Then magkakaroon na tayo ng ganito. The antiderivative of u raised to 4, then multiply natin yung x dx, which is negative 1/2 du. So lagay lang natin yung negative 1/2 out of the integration symbol, then gamitan natin ang power rule yung u raised to 4. So negative 1/2 times u raised to 4 plus 1 over 4 plus 1 plus c. Then simplify lang natin ito. 4 plus 1 is 5. So we have u raised to 5 over 5 sa loob ng parenthesis. So yung negative 1/2 nandun pa rin sa labas. Plus c. Then dito pwede nating i-direct multiply. Kaya magkakaroon tayo ng negative u raised to 5 over 10 plus c. Then i-substitute na natin kung ano yung value ng ating u, which is 5 minus x squared. So our final answer will be negative quantity 5 minus x squared to the 5th power over 10 plus c. And this is the end of this video. So if you find this informative, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. God bless us all.